now, live. Broadcasting live on StarWorldWideNetworks.com. It's time for The Real Deal. Join the ambassador and special guest hosts as they put together great guests and honest commentary on a range of issues. One of their main topics will be preserving Native American tributes in sports team nicknames. Also avid fans of music and the arts, and they'll always make time for a great song or two. Now, it's time for The Real Deal. Here's your host, the Ambassador.
Welcome to The Real Deal, ladies and gentlemen. We're at the famous Star Worldwide Networks in the Camelback Towers in beautiful downtown Scottsdale, Arizona. And we are definitely off the reservation again tonight. With me tonight is my producer, Kyle Pratt, the son of the infamous Dave Pratt. Say hello, Kyle.
How's it going, Ambassador?
The Ambassador's doing okay. Also with me is my co-host, Maggie, from Hong Kong. Say hello, Maggie.
Hi, everyone. We are back.
Yeah, we're back in style. And Maggie is a jewelry designer from Hong Kong. You can see her jewelry, jewelryscottsdale.com. And she's also on Twitter at Hong Kong Sugar. And we also have some guests here that come in from China that are here in the studio with us tonight. And we're glad to have them here listening and seeing how we do the real deal. And we're happy to have them. And now, as far as I'm concerned, you know, I've been communicating with Tucker Carlson.
Yeah, he told me last week.
Yeah, I got an email from him yesterday.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I sent him congrats on his show.
Yeah, I was watching him last night. He had a good show.
Yeah, and he emailed me back and he said, "Thanks a lot, Dennis." He said, "That means a lot to me." And so
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I told him, I says, you know, on any of the Native American issues, if you want me to help you out, I'll be more than happy to do that. So we're kind of building some bridges there.
That'd be great.
He wants to take me to lunch when I go back to D.C., and I'm going to go back probably in a month or so.
Oh, that's great.
So, yeah, he's a cool guy. And
Seems like it, yeah.
Yeah, he's fair, balanced. He's a debater. And,
yeah, he's a good debater.
Yeah, he's a great debater, man, and he calls them right out, and so that's really good. And so that's good. And I want him to know about this fake Indian halberdier.
Oh, yeah, he would. It'd be good if he could get on Tucker's show, and Tucker could.
Yeah, I'd like to get him on Tucker's show.
Tucker could rip him apart.
Yeah, Tucker will tear his ass a new one. This fake Indian loser. And that Elizabeth Warren and that Susan Harjo, they're total losers. That's why fake Indian lives matter. Did you see where they're trying to ban Ann Coulter from speaking?
Oh, at Berkeley, yeah.
At Berkeley?
Yeah, she said she's going anyway.
Yeah. I met her years ago over at the Scottsdale Plaza.
Oh, you did?
Yep. John Dawson was a big-time Republican, and he had a big event. Mm-hmm. And I don't remember who it was for, Herman Cain or who it was, but she was there.
She's another good debater.
Oh, God. She's tough.
She does. She predicted Trump's victory before he even got close.
She's got those long legs, and she always wears those short skirts.
Oh, yeah.
And John Dawson says, "What's your dad say about you wearing those skirts?" And she just laughed. No, she was cool. I enjoyed meeting her. We also we need sponsors, ladies and gentlemen. Please consider being a sponsor on The Real Deal. John Graves was my sponsor for quite a while, and we thank him for that. So we want to keep on going, and we don't need millions, we don't need hundreds of thousands, but we do need sponsors. So in my company has been funding this HUMATE International, HUMATE.com, and that's the company where I produce minerals for agriculture, conventional and organic agriculture. And so I'll put on a show for you if you guys can put on a show for me. Don't forget to download the new app, right, Kyle?
That's right. Got a new app, new website.
Yeah, the website's really tricked out.
Yeah, it's been going good. It's been out for about, I'd say, 2 or 3 months, and we've had no complaints.
Right.
So, I mean, it makes it a lot easier for everyone to catch a show.
Yeah, and then with this Skype that I have on my phone, we can do shows anywhere. And,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we did one in Costa Rica. We did one in Honduras. We did one in Orlando. We did one in Gallup, New Mexico.
Yep.
I want to thank all our listeners in Gallup that are listening. I was up there last week and run into some guys I hadn't seen in a long time. They're old classmates, Bill Joins and other folks, Alex. But it was fun to see some of my old buddies and eat some good New Mexican food there at the El Rancho Hotel. That was really cool. Again, thank you to all our listeners all over the country, Native Americans and all Americans coast to coast. And then I want to particularly thank the schools that are constantly under attack. And the latest one is this school in Napa, up in the Napa Valley in California. Halbritters is after this school because it's called the Indians.
Oh, God.
He's just a total asshole. And so they're trying to change the name, and he's behind it.
Of course.
Scumbag. And I want to thank our listeners down at Channel 3. Jamie Soretta, got to see her over the weekend. And she won an award, and a prestigious award that was given to news anchors.
Oh,
and it was on the internet and
very good
on Facebook. And she comes to see me because I go down to the VIG on Sundays to Sunday Fun Day. So Maggie and I were down there, so she come in and sat with us, and we had a good time. And of course, I want to thank the American Indian Center of the Great Plains of Kansas City, Missouri. Johnny Larnard and I are principals at the Great Plains. Now, I want to introduce my Che, Peter McDonald. He was 4-term chairman of the Navajo Nation. He's president of the Navajo Code Talkers. There's only like 11 or 12 of these guys left. And we did some shows back to back about a little over a year ago, and they're titled Peter MacDonald, MacDonald. We did 4 shows back to back, and he talked about his life being the Navajo chief and also as a code talker, and that was very, very good. So we're going to have him say something to all our listeners on the Navajo Nation. Peter, if you would.
Ja, det has två säsonger, så det kan det nästan nå kliniki. Och så Peter McDonald där sitter. Han ska ha så han slåbet, han är bara sin så karne där sin ashi där sitter. Todigt in eba sätta shada halja. Kododi nini eba hanne. No kodoi ambassador Dennis Yellowhorse ni yalticho yoshwol. Akoda nini be eba hanne. The real deal will yell. Jo koi hashina land ne says yes yadal lahod aba lahod lahadal now. Die do kot eda. Ebene na hada kisigi kodo the real deal no yahal negi da nini jo ede ba honne ako ikena aslagi sto banda yohni do banda notra Graves Company will yov la shibe da no Sunday da jo kodo kushi without di ikena asla kodo
Thank you, Peter. For our audience, and especially the people that's here in the studio this evening, back during World War II, our military could not come up with a code that couldn't be broken. The Japanese and the Germans broke every code that we had, every code. So there was some people, missionaries, up on the reservation, and they went out to San Diego to Camp Pendleton, the Marine Corps base, and they told the Marine Corps that they should use the Navajo language and come up with a code because it's never been written. Did you ever hear that story? Yeah, and there's so they took these Navajo kids. They were all teenagers, like 18, 19, 20-year-old. And they enlisted them in the Marines. So they went to the Marine Corps, Camp Pendleton, and they put them all together in a room where they were isolated from the other kids, the other soldiers. So the commandant went in there and told them, he says, we want to use your language as a code because the Japanese can't figure it out. So they said, okay, so they took our alphabet. And the first letter in our alphabet is the letter A. So they discussed it with these kids, these Navajo soldiers, what should we call the letter A? So they used the Navajo word for apple. And the Navajo word for apple is Belisana. So then they got to the letter B. And they says, what should we use as a Navajo word for the letter B? And so they come up with bear. And then the letter C was shush. And then the letter C, they said, what's the Navajo word we should use for the letter C? So they come up with this word, it's called mussy. And in Navajo, that means cat, like kitty cat. And they went on down the line. And so they developed this code amongst all these kids. And they said, now we're going to put 2 of you on every battleship. And we're going to put 2 of you out where the war's going on. And then you send messages back and forth. And so those 2 out there in the battlefield would send a message to the ship, to the 2 Navajos, saying, we need air support. We need food. We need more troops. We need bombs. And they would relay it. And the Japanese could never figure it out. Japanese couldn't figure it out. So later on, after the war was over, the Navajo kids were not allowed to say what they did until 1965. Then the President of the United States declassified it and said, yeah, tell everybody what you did. Yeah, so there's a lot of historians and a lot of generals that said we couldn't have won the war without the Navajo language, and the Japanese could not break it. And the Japanese, they finally figured it out. The Japanese finally figured it out that it was a Native American language. And so they said, okay, it's a Native American language. Then they isolated it to the Navajos. So the Japanese said, go search all our prison camps and see if there's any Navajos in our prison camp. And there was one. They found a Navajo, but he was in the Army. He wasn't in the Marines. He was in the Army. So they got him and they took him to Tokyo. And they set him down, and he was listening to these Navajos talking. And he says, what are they saying? He says, I don't know. He says, it don't make any sense. They're talking about cats and bears and apples and airplane, flying airplanes. So none of it makes any sense to me because he didn't know the code. So they thought he was lying, and they beat the hell out of him. Yeah, they beat him up. And so after the war was over, the Navajo code talkers would have a reunion up in Window Rock every year. They'd have a reunion. So this guy come to the reunion, and he says, I got the hell beat out of me because I didn't know the code. And so they made him an honorary code talker. Yeah, that's true stuff. And, boy, it don't get any better than that. So during the inauguration for Donald Trump, we were invited to go to the inauguration by some people that worked for Mr. Trump. And we went. It was at the last minute. And how we pulled it off, I don't know, but we did. But we were managed to. They wanted some Navajo code talkers at an inaugural parade. So we got 4 of them to go, and Peter was one of them. And I have that on my Real Deal Facebook. If you look, you'll find the video. And I was in the VIP section when the parade was going by, and I videoed it of Peter and the other 3 code talkers that were in the parade, and it was very tastefully done. But yeah, that's history. And one of the things Peter told me was he was stationed in China. He was in China when Japan surrendered. And so when the Japanese surrendered, they rounded them up. And there was a lot of them in China, a lot of Japanese soldiers. So the American soldiers rounded them up and told them, I said, what did you do with them? He says, we put them on a ship and sent them back to Japan. And he says, but they had to surrender their guns and their swords. And those big samurai swords. And he said, Peter said there was a mountain. It was like a mountain of swords and guns. And all the soldiers got to take one home. And Peter says he still has one, a samurai sword. Some Japanese soldier had to leave behind, you know. I'd like to see it someday, but it was really pretty cool. Now we're going to go to my next business associate out of Washington, D.C. He went to the inauguration with me. And he's a retired Marine, and he speaks several different languages. And he's going to address our listeners who speak Spanish, because a lot of our listeners don't speak Navajo, or they've lost their language. And a lot of the tribes in California, southern Arizona, northern Mexico speak fluent Spanish. And he's going to say something. Mark, if you would, please.
Claro que sí, don Dennis. Nuevamente, bienvenidos a nuestra audiencia de hispanoparlantes y a todos nuestros patrocinadores, Graves Propane de Flagstaff y YouMade Internacional de Gallup, Nuevo México, y a todos los radio oyentes a través de la nación y del Real Deal y nuestro anfitrión, el embajador.
Thank you, Mark. Now we're going to have Maggie say something to our listeners, and that's why these people are here from China. They come in to see Maggie and myself, and she has a lot of listeners. We had people in from Taiwan last week that wanted to visit with me. So, Maggie, if you would, say something to our listeners in Asia.
Thanks, Chief. 其实这个节目是说美国的印第安人的历史文化。Western Post 访问所有美国印第安人，他们都喜欢 Western Redskins Kansas City Chief 这个名字，但是有的坏人呢要改变这个名字。真的是王马先生为了保护这个名字，他本人做出了好大的贡献和支持。我们这次希望每一位的参与和支持。真的是王马先生还有出售有机土壤叫友美，如果有需要打我美国电话6025151073。Thanks so much, Chief, for having me on Real Deal. That's such my honor.
Well, thank you, Maggie.
You're welcome.
Good. Very good.
No ticket, no laundry. Big Daddy love me long time.
That's right. No ticket, no laundry. Okay. Star Worldwide Networks, ladies and gentlemen, is the largest, fastest-growing internet radio station in the country. 200 shows, 6 million listeners. Kyle, tell them who's number one.
The Real Deal.
That's right. Yes, we're number one, and we're going to stay number one. That's why we need sponsors. And a lot of that has to do with all the fans of the teams that honor Native Americans, and we always shout out and give them a thank you. And that's the Kansas City Chiefs, the Washington Redskins, Golden State Warriors, Atlanta Braves, Cleveland Indians, Chicago Blackhawks for listening and honoring Native Americans by using the names. And it's, as I said before, this is a total social and cultural genocide, what they're purporting on Native Americans, and it's nothing more than a phony civil rights scam. This is the same thing that was done to the Jewish people. Burn the books, get rid of the Jews, and pretty soon they'll just wipe them out. And that's where this is headed with the Native Americans, and that's why I do this show. I'm not here to make any money on it. I'm just here to tell the truth and deliver the message that this is a bunch of bullshit, and we got to stop it before it gets carried away. I mean, look what Halbrider's done. Look at the damage that this scumbag has done. He ought to be in jail for what he's done, the low-life son of a bitch. He's done this in California. He's a total scumbag loser, fake Indian, and I'd like to kick him right in the ass. Okay, now we're going to as soon as we get a chance here, we're going to get Real Deal Airlines fired up, and we're going to go to Beverly Hills. So, Kyle, why don't you call the pilots, tell them to kick the tires, light the fires, and send us to Beverly Hills. But before we do that, you know what the problem with these name changers is?
You can't handle the truth.
excuses of the anyway. Oh no. Well, I'll satisfy your every need. And now I know you satisfy me. My. Let's spend the night together. Now I need you more than ever. Let's spend the night together now. Yeah. 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 Let's spend the night together now. The night together now. Yeah, yeah. Let's spend the night together. Now I need you more than ever. Let's spend the night together now.
Okay, we're back. That was Mick Jagger and the boys. Now we're going to go to my first guest, my business partner, my confidant, Alex Agnos. Alex, how you doing, brother?
Ooh, hello, Dennis.
I just got to add.
Hey, I just literally got home from a very important business trip that we are working on for ourselves. And,
Good.
Good for the Indians, good for America, good for everybody.
Well, I was as you know, I was up in New Mexico making America great again, as I always do.
I know. Stayed up there longer than I was.
Yep. Hey, I just got to ask you, what's going on with these screwy judges up in San Francisco? What are they, nutcases or what?
So, we have major problems. I mean, just like the mayor in Berkeley, man, you know.
Yeah, I heard just now coming down.
Shutting down and culture. I mean, the whole deal is crazy. This guy is connected to Antifa. It's a mess. You know,
I heard
they proved it during that rally. They proved it that the police had a stand down because they taped them. They wouldn't get out of the cars. They wouldn't help. And they were going through all the Trump supporters' bags, made sure they didn't have anything. But yet these other idiots were they were weaponized. They even had M80s they were throwing into the crowd.
Yep, I heard that. And big rocks, and then they had pepper spray.
Oh, they had a lot of things.
I'll tell you
what. And then
what.
that one professor, an actual professor, whacked a guy in the head with a bike lock. I hope to God he ends up in jail for that. That's like attempted murder.
Right. That's that. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to make a little prediction here. What's going to happen with these idiots is, there's a lot of innocent people that get killed by these illegals. They catch them and release them, and they go commit violent crimes, including murder. And you watch what's going to happen. They had a guy on from Mesa today on the news. His son got killed, and he was running a cigarette shop over in Mesa, and an illegal who's committed several different crimes, including kidnapping, killed him and for some cigarettes. But what's going to happen is that's going to happen out there at one of these sanctuary cities, where like Los Angeles or San Francisco or wherever, and some innocent kid's going to get killed, and the parents, the dad or the mom or somebody, the uncle, it's going to go off the rails, and that person's going to go off the rails, and he'll get violent with these judges, with the judge or the mayor or whoever. So don't be surprised if one of these bastards don't get killed. I mean, so somebody's just going to take them out.
Oh, absolutely.
And I hate to say that, but I'll make that prediction. That's going to happen. One of these people are going to get so pissed off, the parents or the uncle, and they're going to say, "We had enough of this shit. Now I lost my daughter, or now I lost my son over this bullshit. And if they don't want to do anything, I'll take care of them."
Oh yeah, I mean, absolutely. Look, what are you going to do? You know, we have you know that's look what's happening in Venezuela right now.
Oh my God!
Look what's actually happening. Now these people are over there starving. They're unarmed. So now the government will be literally arming specific people, paying them to literally shoot at protesters.
Right. Yeah.
And the protesters, the people that are starving, that are wanting to overthrow their corrupt government, can't do anything about it because they don't have any arms. They can't even protect themselves, man.
Right. You know, I was telling somebody. Oh, I know. I was telling some people in Gallup. You know, they listen to my radio show, and I was telling them how dangerous these gangs are. These MS-13. Yeah, and
the MS-13 games are. I'm sorry. Keep talking. Go ahead.
Tucker, you know, he talks on his show. He says, you know, we're concerned about Islamic terrorists being in this country. Well, there's a lot of these gangs like MS-13 are in this country.
Oh, absolutely.
And a lot of them, I guess, originated from El Salvador.
Most of them are from El Salvador. They're right here in L.A.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, and their initiation. If you want to get into their gang, you got to go. You got to go kill an innocent person. Am I correct?
Pretty much. You have to do a serious beatdown or kill somebody in front of one of the members. It's a major violent crime has to be committed.
Right.
On a person.
Right.
Literally.
Yep.
Go
ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, you know, but when I was in Honduras, and I had a beautiful the guy that hosted me. He has the 5-star resort there in La Ceiba, and he put on a big dinner for me at his home, and the mayor and all these politicians, including a lot of the Dole people, was there, and when I pulled up in front of his house, he had a beautiful mansion, and he had an 8-foot wall. You know, people complain about the wall. He had an 8-foot wall and a gate, and he had 2 guys with machine guns standing out in front. I'm serious. 2 guys with machine guns. And
can you blame him?
No, and he's done that for years because of these gangs. They'll kidnap them. In fact, one of the guys told me, and he didn't want to talk about it, but he told me that his nephew or one of his kids got kidnapped. I don't know, a couple of years ago or whatever, and he had to pay a ransom to get him back.
Well, that's why it was important to keep our country safe, you know, and keeping people out from violent areas that are coming here to migrate to do nothing but cause harm to the American citizens.
Right. Well, this MS,
you know, with open borders, we're not safe.
Yeah, and this MS-13, they're in a lot of cities like L.A. and they're probably here in Phoenix. I wouldn't doubt it.
Oh yeah, they're of course they're in Phoenix. Absolutely.
Yeah.
They're down in Phoenix. They're in Chicago. They're back east. They're all over, man. Now, you know, they're even in Texas. You know.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty sad.
Yeah.
You know, the craziness, you know, and what like what's been going on, and what like Ben Carson uncovered. I mean, like crazy numbers of ridiculous missing funds, misappropriated missing funds through the HUD program. So you wonder why these people are getting poor schooling down there and having all these destroyed neighborhoods, these urban communities. Well, you see, there's over $600 billion, literally, missing funds, man, misappropriated.
Right.
Jacked.
And then how many
taxpayer money too?
Yeah, and then how many billions that they jacked up the IRS where they get these tax refunds.
Oh yeah, that tax fraud, immigration, welfare fraud. It's ongoing and ongoing. It's crazy. All that, just fixing that will pay for the wall. By the way, Ted Cruz came up with a great idea.
Yep, I seen it. Wall. Yeah, he's going to get El Chapo to pay for
money.
Yeah, Yeah, no, he's introduced it. I bet you it goes through too.
I hope so. It's a great idea, man.
Yeah, I'll tell you what I'd like to see Trump do is next to the wall build a canal, like a Panama Canal.
Well, that was actually in somebody's plan. A contractor's plan.
Yeah.
With a canal, a huge, deep canal.
Yeah, because I've done some studying, and Dole told me they pay $1 million per ship to take it through the Panama Canal. $1 million.
Wow.
There's only enough for 40 ships a day to go through there.
Wow.
And the average cost is $1 million.
Wow.
40 million. That's 40 million bucks.
Wow.
So if we had a canal, we could open up all of our resources that we could ship out through the canal. For example, in southern Arizona, we have copper, we have iron ore, we have Navajo coal. We have coal that we could pull from Navajo.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, look, you and I and these other people, talking about coal, we're going to be doing something with that.
Right. I mean, we could get it. We could get it to a ship if we had a canal on our Arizona border and get it out of here. I mean, it'd be so easy that we could pay for it. And I mean, this is textbook art of the deal, Trump. If we're going to build something, let's figure out a way to make money out of it. For Christ's sake.
Oh. No, that's actually a great idea. Great idea.
And then all the vegetables, 800 miles south of the Arizona border, ladies and gentlemen, is Culiacan, Mexico. It's the bread basket. It's the tomato capital of the world. It's the bell pepper, jalapeno, lettuce. I mean, they grow it all down there. These farms are huge.
Including the cocaine comes up to there. But hey.
Yeah. And the Sinaloa cartels down there. But the big thing is they're landlocked. They don't have a way.
Right.
So, I mean, they ship it up here by trucks to the Arizona border. It crosses at Nogales, and then it comes up to our supermarkets. If we had a canal, they'd probably pitch in and help build the damn thing.
Well, absolutely. Look, let me tell you something. That's one thing good about Trump. He's a master negotiator, and you can already see it with businesses and companies, the tax plan he's about to lay out, what's been going on with our schools. Believe me, you're going to see major changes, and it's going to be a lot faster than people realize.
Right.
Literally, he's only been getting into his 100 days here, and look at what he's already done.
Right. And what's interesting is all these journalists and these naysayers. They're he's flip-flopping. He's changing his story. It's just a bunch of bullshit. Those guys couldn't. Those reporters, those journalists. I get so pissed off when I turn on the TV and listen to these press conferences, and then these politicians are so inept. I mean, they're just idiots. They couldn't run a goddamn lemonade stand.
Well, actually, it's pretty true. It's actually sad but true. A lot of them could not run a lemonade stand.
No, they couldn't. I mean, they're just totally incompetent idiots, fools, buffoons. And I mean, they're sitting there. They've been there for 8 years, 8 years, and they could have come up with a plan to rebuild Obamacare, repeal it, and come up and replace it with a plan. And they haven't done shit because they only work one week a month.
Oh yeah, well that's all going to change. Trust me.
I mean,
did you hear about Maxine Waters?
No.
She's been paying her daughter a fortune to do nothing.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
Of taxpayers' money. I mean, all these crooks, man.
Yeah. No, it's pathetic.
It's all coming out.
I feel sorry for you guys that live in California because there's a lot of good people out there, and I love California. I love going out there, but.
It's a blue state, don't get me wrong, but I'll tell you, there's a lot of Republicans out here and independents, and there are a lot of people that voted for Trump that won't admit they voted for Trump, but they voted for Trump. So you can kind of see the smile on their face, even though they can't speak up. They're in liberal Hollywood.
Yeah. How about on Tucker's first show the other night, he had that Caitlyn Jenner on there.
Oh, my God.
And she voted for Trump.
Yeah. I mean, Caitlyn Jenner, I was actually surprised that she voted for Trump.
Me too.
I thought she was talking down about him.
Yeah, it totally shocked me. I had to watch.
I know.
I watched the whole program, and I sent Tucker an email. I said, "Man, what a great show!" And it was good.
Here's the thing: people don't realize that in no time at all, it's going to come out. All the stuff that the liberal media and the lying, I'm not going to say liberal, I'm just going to say lying media.
Right.
The lying media, because there are people that are traitors on both sides, and we know that.
Oh, absolutely. There's establishment politicians in D.C.,
correct,
Republicans,
correct,
Democrats, and they've all sold us out, and they belong to the pharmaceuticals, the insurance companies, and the lobbyists own them.
Look, here you go. Here you are watching television, and you have all these ads coming on TV telling you what you should ask your doctor for. You think about that.
Right.
Think about that. You're asking your doctor what they should prescribe you now. It's crazy.
Right. Hey, I want to take a quick break. We're going to play a song. Hang in there. I want to come back on here in a few minutes.
All right.
Thanks.
You got it.
Just you, baby. Say it's alright, 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 say it's alright. Alright, come on.
Okay, we're back. Yeah, Alex, tell everybody that we want to build a canal.
Well, look, we already are doing a lot with meeting with some of the transition team through Dan and his group. We will be out in D.C. again shortly, and another meeting we will have with the Native Americans and, of course, you, Dennis, and
Right.
we're going to get all this on the move.
Yeah. No, I tell you, there's a lot of interest. We're living in interesting times.
Yes.
And everybody's proactive, and even they come out with a poll the other day, and I don't believe in any of these goddamn polls anymore, but they come out saying if the election was held again today, he would beat Hillary Clinton like a drum.
No, I mean, there's no doubt about it. That whole thing with the media, again, lying to the people about the popular vote bullshit, all lies.
Yeah. And it's
all lies.
It's all total lies, fake media. And I like it.
Yeah.
And I listen to Hannity, and I listen to Tucker, and of course, my favorite's Judge Janine. She goes right after him. She don't care.
Judge Janine, Hannity, and Tucker Carlson, and even Greg Gutfeld, because sometimes he does put it out there. You know what I mean? And
yeah, he's pretty good. He's pretty good.
Yeah.
And then the other one that's really good is Lou Dobbs.
Oh, well, everybody loves Lou Dobbs.
Yeah, Lou Dobbs, boy, I mean,
he's 100% straight, man.
He's total Trump, and he just rails on that Paul Ryan.
Yeah.
And,
these are all journalists,
Yeah, and Paul Ryan, I'll guarantee you, is in bed with the insurance companies.
Paul Ryan is, I always knew he was going to be a problem.
He's in bed. He's in bed with the insurance companies. I'll guarantee you.
Yeah, I would actually force him to step down.
He should. And Lou Dobbs says it every night. I mean, he'll say it 2 or 3 times a night.
Yeah.
I mean, he rails on him, and that's why
there's no help.
Yeah, and that's why I'm setting up a meeting with Dave Schweikert. He's our congressman here in Phoenix. And I'm getting a meeting set up with him, and I'll let you know because I'd like you to come in. But I want him.
Absolutely.
I want him or somebody like him, and it could even be Claudia Tenney. I don't know, but we need to repeal the Telecommunication Act of 1996. That's why these guys, when Trump says drain the swamp, he needs to drain the media swamp.
Absolutely.
In New York, and then now it's in the Silicon Valley.
No, look what happened with Bill O'Reilly. I'm not saying he's I don't know about his, about the real, the logistics behind all of that.
Well, yeah, I don't.
Hannity, though, it was even starting to happen with Hannity, and Hannity shut it right down.
Yeah, well, Hannity said 2 days ago. He said they took out O'Reilly. Now they're going to try to take him out and take Tucker out.
He shut it out. He shut them down, though. He shut that down real quick.
No, he's going to go after him. Anybody that slanders him, he's going to sue him.
Yeah.
And that guy Jay Sekulow, he's got the big law firm. He's contacted me, or his people has. They listen to my show. They love my show. They're based out of Chicago.
He's great, actually.
Yeah, he's really good. I want you to stay on the line. We're going to take one more song here. Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. That was the Rolling Stones, of course, playing Brown Sugar, and the guy that played the saxophone, they called him Mr. Brown Sugar. His name was Bobby Keys, and he was a friend of mine. He was from Texas, but his mother lived in Albuquerque, and I met him in Albuquerque years ago, and we became pals, and he would invite me to the concerts when they were in the area here, and he's the guy that's playing that saxophone on the song Brown Sugar for Mick Jagger and the Rolling Stones. An absolutely phenomenal guy. He died a couple years ago, or not even a couple years ago, maybe a year and a half ago. But he was a partier, and him and Keith Richards they tore it up. And he's the only person that the Rolling Stones ever fired because he was intoxicated and he didn't show up to go on a show. And they actually hired him back. He was that good, and he was a good friend. But anyway, that's that. Alex, one more thing.
Yes.
Do you think that, eventually this law against these sanctuary cities that is being, with this Ninth Circuit Court, that's this total irrational court, and these justices that are legislating from the bench, do you think that that'll eventually be overturned?
Well, I can already tell you right now, by cutting the funding to these states, they're going to force them, and they have to get rid of the judges. I mean, they have to be thrown out.
Yeah, they really do.
They have to. These guys are upholding law, and they're upholding the law, and they're literally spitting in the face of the law.
Yeah, or spitting in the face of the American people.
Yeah, well, that too, of course. But they're basically breaking the law themselves.
I mean, I always tell my listeners, if you have a problem with a lawyer, you turn them into the bar association. If you have a problem with a judge, you turn them into the bar association. But hell, if you turn them into the bar association in Sacramento, it's the same people, probably.
That's the problem. Look, when Trump said he stepped into a mess, he stepped into a mess. The whole country's full of a mess. It's not just in D.C.
Yeah, it is.
So draining the swamp it's a big swamp.
Yep, and there's a lot of alligators and crocodiles on both sides of the aisle that are there to protect their turf.
Yes, to protect their. You know what? They're there to protect their best interest, which is their money.
That's right.
It all boils down to greed, man.
Yeah, they're greedy, and that's why we need term limits. And I know Trump's for term limits, but he probably don't want to come out and say it. But I know Dr. Carson is, Mike Huckabee is. I mean, you got to get these guys out. These career politicians, you got to get them the hell out of there.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. I see that happening. I do. I see that happening.
Yep, I hope so, man. I mean, we got to get term limits where we get new blood, and they can't own these guys. They can't bribe them. One time a buddy of mine, he was actually an engineer. He worked for me. His sister was a senior purchasing manager at Walmart, and every year she would handle like fertilizers one year.
Right.
And then she went in, but every year Walmart was smart enough to change them. They moved them from fertilizers to maybe canned goods or apparel. But they did not keep them in the same spot, so they couldn't get corrupted.
That is smart.
Yeah, I mean that's what Yeah, Walmart did that because they said we got to rotate these guys because if we keep them in the same position, they'll be corrupted by the guys that they're doing business with. They'll be whining and dining them and taking them to dinner and all this shit.
It's unfortunate. Just like our politicians, they have to have term limits. They have to have term limits.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
You can't have some of these guys like Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders. These guys they've been in politics since since they were 17, 18 years old, and they haven't done anything but live off the American tax dollars.
Yeah, and the same thing.
And they got wealthy. How did they get wealthy all those years? Wealthy.
You look at Harry Reid. How much money he accumulated. And I told
Schumer,
you,
Reid,
Schumer,
Brown,
those guys are total
Brown,
crooks.
our governor.
Those guys are total crooks.
Absolutely, and that's why everybody's fighting against Trump, because that's going to cut the money train right off.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah,
for
you're
these
right.
people, and that's what they don't want.
Yeah.
You know, look, we know that specific politicians, people in our government and in law enforcement, you know, they're getting paid to let this heroin get through here, man. Somebody's getting paid. I mean, do you think they couldn't stop all that heroin and all them drugs? Of course they could. They're letting that stuff get unleashed on the street. You know.
And you know there was
sadly but true. It's been proven a long time ago.
Yeah, and there was a guy I was watching the other night, and he was a politician, and he wrote a book about draining the swamp. That how you gotta pay to be selected to a certain committee.
Yes.
Yeah, and it was kind of shocking to be selected to the energy committee. You know, you gotta get one of the energy companies to support you to be on the energy committee. And in other words, it's bribery. It's total bribery.
Oh yeah, everything that you have to pledge to pretty much. First of all, you're basically they're making sure that you are corrupt to get you in.
Absolutely.
Put it that way.
They're buying.
They don't want you nowhere near it.
Yeah.
They don't want no whistleblowers.
They want to own you right from the get-go.
And you start talking about, look at the guy that ended up dead that worked for the Clintons.
Yeah. Hey, we're going to have to go because Kyle's got another event to go to.
Okay.
But thanks for coming on, and then I need to talk to you offline.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah, so give me a call tomorrow or whenever you get time.
I'll call you tomorrow. We'll put our schedules together, okay?
Okay, sounds good. Thanks a lot, and give her a hug for us.
And Brian will be there, okay?
Alex, we will go to see you in Beverly Hills
All right.
soon.
Absolutely. Come to Beverly Hills.
I miss you. Say hello to your girlfriend.
She's right here. I'll tell her right now.
Hello,
your cheerleader's right here.
They tell the cheerleader.
Hello, sweetie.
Okay.
I'll see you guys soon.
Okay, we're going to wrap it up.
All right.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank our guests here from China. Thank you, Maggie. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you to all our listeners. But before we go, it's very important that everybody must know why I do this show. Kyle, tell them all why the hell I'm here.
To kick ass and save names, Ambassador.
City Hall's next.
Thank you for listening to The Real Deal. Tune in to The Real Deal with the Ambassador and special guest hosts every Wednesday at 5 p.m. and on demand 24/7 right here on Star Worldwide Networks.